Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, very excited about. I love any kind of a reset, really. I do enjoy. I have a couple of videos planned about getting reset for the 6-month point of the year. I think about 2 days from now is the summer solstice, where we come to the point where the days stop getting longer and then start getting darker, or start getting shorter as we lead up to December 21st. So it is really the sort of 6-month point of the calendar, and it's a really good time to start reflecting, reviewing, going back over what our goals were, seeing our progress, making, adjustments, planning, all of that good stuff, and trying to finish out the next 6 months of the year really well. If you're feeling like you haven't made much progress on your goals in the first half of this year, please be kind to yourself. When I first started doing goal setting, it took me a good while to get to that point where I was actually properly following the system and getting there with what I had set myself. So definitely don't be harsh on yourself. It just takes time, and it'll take a lot of time for you to build up your own systems and understand what it is that you need to do to really get there. I'm now in a point where I think have a good sense of how I've brought together different productivity concepts, from the getting things done method, the 12-week year, atomic habits, a few different things that I've just found have really gone well together in the flow as well. And I think I've really built up a good system. So this video I'm going to be talking you through how to get reset for the rest of the year, talking you through some of the steps, and then I have a few videos planned that will be me going through the steps myself. The first thing that I want you to do is just get clear. So what that means is you can't be going into this process with a load of things on your mind. And this is one of the key things that you get from the getting things done. It's the idea of just clearing out everything from your brain. So what would be good to do at the beginning here, especially if you're not up to date with your tasks, but even if you are, it's a really good thing to be doing on a regular basis, is to do a mind sweep or a brain dump. A brain dump is where you literally just throw everything that's in your brain onto a page. And that could be journaling, but it also could be like you just start to realize there's loads of tasks that might have been on your mind that you just haven't really thought about. A very good quote from David Allen, who wrote the book Getting Things Done, is your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. So our heads are not good for holding ideas and really organizing them. It's really best that we get them out. And if you start to build up a system where you have somewhere that holds all of this information, that you know you're going to be seeing that regularly and you know you're not going to lose it, then your brain can stop reminding you annoyingly of all of these things. You can do a mind sweep if you want, which is sort of a guided meditation that talks you through the different areas of life that you might have tasks and things on your mind about. There is a Spotify podcast on various platforms, but I'll have it linked down below, for the David Allen Company, where they talk you through a guided mind sweep, and I think that is a really useful thing to do. And if you can, it's great if you take some of what you got from this and write down then next what is the actual action associated with that. So a lot of the time you'll just be writing down junk, and it could just be things that are on your mind or things that you feel like there's unfinished business around. So anything that you feel from the last 6 months of the year that's unfinished, that you want to get some clarity on, try to figure out what is the action step there. And if you can, in the next couple of weeks, it'd be great to try and get through as many of these as possible. So the next thing might be to do some sort of life admin day. And that would be where you try and clear as much of those tasks as you can, especially the ones to do with, around the house, decluttering, cleaning, anything like that you can get refreshed on for the next half of the year would be amazing. So anything that you still have on your mind that you want to get rid of, that is the best thing to do in order to reset, to try and just clear as many of those as possible. So for example, if there's a lot of things around booking appointments on your mind, which is something that I've been doing in the last couple of days, I've just been going ahead and booking loads of appointments. Especially in the summer, I'm a lot more free. It's a great time for me to do those things. So go to the dentist, book a health check. All of these things, these are a great thing to do to really refresh and feel like there's nothing holding you back for the next half of the year. So once you've done that little bit of like clearing out and resetting in that way, so doing all of your sort of, monthly cleaning and getting all of that kind of things done, trying to really do any general resetting around your house, around the office, whatever that is, in your brain of course as well. once you've been able to do a lot of that and get things off your mind, this might take, you know, a good week of really hard work to do, possibly longer, depending on your situation. At that point, then it's possible to start looking ahead at long-term goals and then looking at how you were doing on our goals so far. So if you haven't already set up something that really tells you what your purpose, your values, and your long-term vision are, I would strongly recommend that you do that. Or if it's been a while, because it's not something that we tend to do frequently. A lot of people will, at the end of each year, do some sort of vision board. But if we have a long-term vision, that's usually sort of, you know, tens of years in the future that you're looking at. And that might be something that we only really do every couple of years when there is a significant shift happening. So for me, I'm coming towards the end of my PhD. When I made my last vision board, it was at the beginning of my PhD, and a lot changed. We had a global pandemic. I took over running a business, and a lot has changed. So my vision board, I think, if I look at it now, it does not really make sense. And so I need to go back and really do that. So the next video that I have planned is going to be a purpose, vision, and values sort of video where I'm going to be talking you through the process of that and going through it myself. So if you're looking for purpose, I think the best thing is looking at sort of ikigai, which I do have a whole video on, so I will link that one there. Values then is another really important point, because this is what really helps to connect and motivate you to what it is that you're working on. So if you can figure out what it is that you value, which is a tricky thing to do, but there is a good exercise, and I'll have that link down below, you can then start to understand, okay, what are the steps that I want to take to really align myself with these values? So what is it that I want my life to look like with regards to these values? And as you start to make choices in life, then you can see how these align with your values, and that will be really important for ensuring sort of lifelong satisfaction and lifelong fulfillment, is if we're working within our values. In terms of a long-term vision, so this is like 10, 20 years in the future, what do you want your life to look like in the long run? That can be very challenging to think about, but it definitely is worthwhile doing. And if you're struggling to think of what that might be, there's a couple of different things that you can do. One is the sort of headstone exercise, which I don't really like, but that's the idea of like, what would you want your tombstone to say? Or what would you want your eulogy to say? And I think that's a bit morbid. What I instead like to do is to think about what my ideal day would look like. So what does your ideal day in your life look like? If you could do anything, what would you be doing? Or what would an ideal sort of, I don't know, week or month or year look like? What would you want going on? What would you want the things in your life to be filled with? And that's something that I connect with a lot more when it comes to vision. And I have a sort of a sense of that, but I need to really put that all into one place and really have something that I can look at and be really excited about the future for. And this is a really important step in the 12-week year, because if you know what you want in life, if you know what the compelling vision you're trying to get to is, it's easier to then start to break it down into smaller steps, which will be your sort of 12-week goals. And that's also something that's related to the getting things done process, because there's something called the 6 horizons of focus in getting things done. It starts with the top, which is your purpose and your values. Then it moves into your sort of mid 3 to 5 year vision. Then we get into sort of shorter term goals, and so on, so on. It's really important that you know what you're working towards, because a lot of the time you might watch these goal setting videos and think, oh yeah, that seems like a good goal, I'll work on that. But it needs to be really, really compelling for you. It needs to be really important for you, or you won't really want to work on it. Again, if you did that at the beginning of the year and you know all of this already, then I just recommend that you look over what it is that you have there and reconnect to your purpose, your values, and your vision. Just reconnect yourself, make sure that you're fresh, and make sure that whatever is in there is fresh. You might not need to do like a big overhaul like I do. You might just need to update a couple of things that might align better with what your current vision for your future life is. Your vision should be changing, and there might be like the underlying principles, which is your purpose and your values, that remain the same, but how you achieve that, how you live that, if that makes sense, changes. And there's a really good quote by Oscar Wilde, you might have seen it on Reels, which is, if you know what you want to be, then you inevitably become it. That is your punishment. But if you never know, then you can be anything. you've gotten clear, your head's empty, you have reconnected with your purpose, your values, your vision, and now it's time to start thinking about goals. So if you did set goals at the beginning of the year, get those out. Or if you've been setting quarterly goals, get those out, whatever it is. We want to now reflect on our progress so far. What I've done, first of all, is I had written a paragraph, like a vision paragraph, for where I want the different areas of life to be in the next 12 months. And then I separately have been working on 12-week goals, which is, I think, a method of goal setting that I highly recommend because it gives you enough time to focus on them, that you can really get a lot done. But it means that you don't have too much time that you inevitably get lazy with them, and we can easily stretch things out to a whole year and still not get them done. But if you give yourself that short time, you sort of stay motivated for them. Kind of just go through what your progress is so far on each of those. Fill in what has happened with each of those goals, where you're at. If there's anything extra that happened that has been sort of an achievement or a sort of setback, also add that in. So it's good that you have reasons for why you didn't necessarily get certain goals done. So if you have, let's say, for me, I might have had a goal for the business, but another project that I couldn't have expected coming up has come up. And that was a really positive thing that I didn't expect to do, that has sort of maybe slowed me down on getting something else that I wanted to get done. It's important that there's no judgment here for yourself, that you're not being hard on yourself with these goals. It's just about really connecting with what has happened so far in the year, what have we achieved, what has been difficult, and what is it that we still want to achieve in the next 6 months. So you should have whatever your goal was, whatever did happen in that area. If you have goals for different areas of life, I recommend just sort of grouping them and organizing what the different things that happened in different areas of life were. And then another column which should be what's left. And you can start by just transferring anything that is on your goals that you haven't done into that column. And then just sort of reflect on those and see, is there anything there that maybe doesn't necessarily align with what you still want? And that might happen, goals change. If there's anything that's no longer relevant or you don't really want to achieve it anymore, just get rid of them. There's no point in having these goals hanging around for the rest of the year that you don't necessarily want to achieve, or that maybe you want to push to a further date, whatever that might be. So just try and leave yourself with whatever it is that remains that you still want to do. And if there's anything additional that you want to add that maybe wasn't there, that you now think should be there, add those. What do you want to be able to look back and say, I've done all of this by the end of the year? Once we have these goals, what we want to achieve for the rest of the year, it's then time to start implementing the 12-week year system. So that will be where we set goals for the next 12 weeks. And you don't have to follow any specific dates for this. You can really start this at any point. We have basically 4 12-week periods in the year followed by a 1-week break. This next week is my last week of my current 12 weeks, and then I have a break. And then technically the next 12 weeks starts on July 4th and will go to September 25th. But honestly, you can start this system at any point. And I think it is really good to do because you can really organize yourself for the next 12 weeks. It's hard to know what you're going to be doing like 6 months to a year from now. So you can't really make a plan for how you're going to get all of these goals done in that time because you don't know what it's going to look like. Whereas you sort of have a sense of what the next 3 months are going to look like. You sort of know what might come up in terms of other activities outside of your goals, and you can plan around those. So take a couple of your goals. I suppose because we have 6 months left, you probably want to take around half of them, but usually it's recommended to have 3 or 4 big goals that you work on for these 12 weeks, and you basically go hard on these goals. The next step then will be making a 12-week plan. Because I am coming to the end of one 12-week year and into the next, I will be doing a whole video going through the 12-week year process and my planning to do with that, which also implements the getting things done and atomic habits because they all sort of fit together. So I'll be going through all of this in more detail, but just to briefly summarize, once you've set these goals, you then want to turn these goals into a set of actions. And those actions can either be you know, a one-time thing. So it could be like send something to someone or fill out a report, I don't know. These could be one-time actions. So you want to make a list of all of those tasks. You should also have then a list of sort of reoccurring activities. So these will be your habits. And that sort of fits in the atomic habits. You want to sort of be building routines so that you can add on habits bit by bit. And that's usually the best way to start a new habit, is to add it on to something that you already do. So for example, if every morning you brush your teeth and you want to start drinking more water, then before or after you brush your teeth, drink a glass of water. And it's just that you start to get into a routine of that then, because you started to add that on to something you do every day already. You also might have projects associated with some of these goals. Basically just do a brainstorm for what might be the tasks that are associated with those projects. Next, you want to sort of go back a horizon, if we're looking at the getting things done horizons of focus, and look at your accountability and your areas of focus that might be outside your goals. And also do sort of a brainstorm of what might be some of the activities coming up in the next couple of months that you need to put into your calendar before anything else happens with your goals. So these are all the sort of fixed things that, you know, your general work schedule, you know, different holidays coming up, whatever that might be, anything you have coming up in the next 3 months, put all of the sort of non-negotiables that you have to do with the areas of focus in your life, so family, work, whatever that is, they have to go in first before we add on anything else. So go ahead and do that, fill out whatever those tasks might be. A lot of the time these are sort of just general calendar items or routines that we have to add into our schedule, and then we should have basically remaining time. So evenings, mornings, weekends typically will be what is the remaining time that we have to work on our goals. It's recommended in the 12-week year that you set aside a 3-hour block for strategic work on your goals when you can. So that could be a morning or an evening. It could be broken up, but usually when it's something big, like a big project, you probably need a couple of hours to put that in. So for example, if I was working on my YouTube channel, 3 hours would be a good amount of time to film a video and edit it. And that would be one of my key tasks that I need to do on a regular basis. And if I don't put that time into my calendar, video doesn't get made, I don't make progress on my YouTube channel. So it's about then going through your routine, seeing where you can fit in these new actions, these new goals, based on what you already sort of have to do. So finding the time for spending a couple of hours for each of the different goal areas, and whatever those habits are, figuring out where you're going to fit in those habits. So building up what you want your routine to look like for the next 3 months maybe, to try and get all of these done. If there's some tasks that you have specific deadlines on, making sure you add those into the calendar. Otherwise, it should be that you're setting aside blocks of time where you're just going to get through as many of these tasks as you can. And that is sort of a difficult thing to do. It's hard to be motivated for it. But I found using the getting things done method of task management, there's a way that you organize it by priority, by energy needed, by time needed, organizing your tasks by context. So having a list of these are all the emails I need to send, having a list of these are all the things I need to do on the phone, having a list of these are all the errands. So if you're sitting in the car with an hour to spare and you're feeling moderate energy, what are the best things that you could work on? Again, because this is a step that follows on, this will be the video after that. So I hope this video was helpful. If you're going to be following through the reset process, I'd love to see you in the comments. I'd love to see any tags on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to all of my wonderful members as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.